Hello and welcome to Rise and Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to be on the show, go to our website. That's riseunwindtv.com. And what's happening on today's show? Well, we got this.
Because his music carries the universal theme of love, unity, and hope. People from all backgrounds connect with the authenticity, you know what I mean? And the positivity in his songs. And I think that's why it's timeless.
Sometimes fear is a useful emotion because it can keep us out of truly, life-ending or life-threatening danger. But fear does not always tell us the truth. Sometimes it tells us to avoid things that wouldn't hurt us and that might even help us to grow, that we might enjoy, and that might help us learn.
I have to say the heart and the community of Buffalo and Bills fandom will suck you right in, because if you have a passion for any team, you can relate to this movie.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind. You know, as we head into the holidays, families are gearing up to spend more time together, indoors. And that means a higher risk for respiratory illnesses, especially for adults 65 and older. COVID-19 may not dominate the headlines anymore, but it's still a serious concern for most of our vulnerable loved ones. Here with clear, practical guidance is respiratory specialist Dr. Juanita Mora. Dr. Mora, how are you, my friend?
Good. How about yourself? Thank you for having me to discuss such an important topic with you.
Well, thanks for joining us today. This is a pretty easy question. Why are the older adults at higher risk for severe COVID-19 infections pretty much this time of year?
Well, Dan, what we know from having COVID-19 over the last 5 years is, one, that for older people greater than 65 years of age, as we age, our immune system weakens. So people greater than 65 years of age are going to have a weakened immune system that puts them at higher risk for COVID-19 complications. Two, they're also going to be higher risk for having chronic medical conditions, such as diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, asthma, COPD, emphysema, that puts them at higher risk for COVID-19 complications. And then just looking at the data, from September of 2024 to October of 2025, we've had 44,000 deaths due to COVID-19 in the U.S., and 2/3 of them have been people greater than 65 years of age. This is the reason why we have to drive home the message that people need to get vaccinated and protected.
Okay, what about some key things families should be thinking about, like when they're getting together, maybe even traveling for the holidays? Give us some of those tips.
Sure. Top holiday tips I give patients. Number one, vaccination for everyone. 6 months and over, COVID-19, get the most updated COVID-19 vaccine now. Number two is good ventilation. We do not want propagation of this virus in our homes. So having those HEPA filters on is going to be important to stop the propagation of this virus. Three, if someone is sick, making sure that they mask, especially around the most vulnerable, those newborn babies or people greater than 65 years of age. Number four is making sure that if people do have any cold symptoms, that they do a COVID-19 test that they can buy at their local pharmacy, and it's very inexpensive, so that you don't bring the virus to your family gathering. And number five, universal precautions, frequent hand washing. That's going to be so important in stopping the propagation of this virus.
And there's still a lot of confusion about vaccines. Where should people be turning to get some guidance or reliable guidance, I believe?
Sure. When I tell patients, number one trustworthy messenger, talk to your doctor. They're going to give you the science, answer your questions, etc. Number two, trusty websites where obviously they have all that information, such as the Champions for Vaccine Education, Equity, and Progress, cveep.org, or people can go to their local Department of Public Health website or the CDC website as well, too, for trusted, good COVID-19 vaccine information.
And what should we be understanding about the impact of long COVID on older adults?
So what we know and what we've learned over the last 5 years of long COVID is that recurrent or frequent infections of COVID-19 puts people at risk for long COVID symptoms and complications. We know that this is a big inflammatory virus. So when it travels to different organs, it can cause different complications, such as when it travels to the heart, it can put people at risk for arrhythmias, heart attacks. When it travels to the lungs, it puts people at high risk for new onset asthma, COPD, or emphysema. When it travels to the brain, it can put people at risk for a new onset stroke. And now we know there's a development and a correlation between long COVID and Alzheimer's disease. These are all reasons to get vaccinated and protected, because you're also going to be protected against long COVID syndrome.
All right. And finally, for anyone who wants local guidance or access to vaccines, where's the best place to start?
Sure. The best place to start is one with your primary care doctor or your local pharmacist. Vaccines are well covered. COVID-19 vaccines are well covered with private insurance, Medicaid, Medicare. And they can also go to their local Department of Public Health's website if you don't have insurance, because they usually run free clinics where you can get this vaccine for free, so everyone gets protected for the holidays.
Juanita Mora, thanks for joining us this morning.
You're welcome. Have a beautiful day. Happy holidays.
Do you ever wish you could train your body and brain to handle fear better? In Limitless, Live Better Now, Chris Hemsworth pushes past pain, fear, and risk, guided by experts who turn science into real tools you can use. Today, we have, from the Risk episode, neuroscientist Dr. Abigail Marsh and freestyle motocross legend Robbie Maddison, two people who know a thing or two about fear and focus. Welcome to the show, you two.
Thank you.
All right, in simple terms, what's happening in the brain when we avoid risk versus when we face it on purpose?
Oh, that's such a good question. The problem with fear, sometimes fear is a useful emotion because it can keep us out of truly, life-ending or life-threatening danger. But fear does not always tell us the truth. Sometimes it tells us to avoid things that wouldn't hurt us and that might even help us to grow, that we might enjoy, and that might help us learn. And so we need to get better at learning when to ignore our fear and push through and do the things that fear tells us not to do, because taking on positive risks, in Chris's case, climbing a 500-foot high wall in the Swiss Alps, can give us a sense of joy, can give us a sense of self-efficacy, and also resilience when tackling new risks in the future.
The episode explores exposure therapy and flow. What's a practical way viewers can safely practice those at home without a Swiss Alps climbing wall?
Well, if a Swiss Alps climbing wall isn't handy, there are lots of other ways to take on risks. The tricky thing is it's sort of personal to each person. So not everybody is afraid of the same thing. Some people aren't afraid of heights. I'm not one of those people. I'm glad that Chris climbed that wall instead of me. But for each one of us, it's important to pay attention to the things that scare you and that are inhibiting your life because you're avoiding doing things that might actually give you a sense of meaning and purpose and excitement and joy. And just identifying the things that scare you, and taking small steps one at a time to try to increase your ability to tackle that kind of challenge is really the thing to do.
Okay, I gotta make my list. I think it covers pretty much everything that scares me. Plus some names and Instagram accounts I could add to that list as well. Robbie, you've built a career in high stakes precision. How do you separate recklessness from calculated risk? And what's your mental checklist before like a big stunt?
Well, the edge of fear is where life gets interesting, and I really find that being in the present moment is my goal, because once you're that prefrontal cortex that Abby talks about turned off, and you're just focused on your technique and the physical things that are happening that might affect your outcome, you're really in this kind of focused state. And eventually, once action comes in, that's when flow state takes over. And life, I mean, it's just an interesting state of living, and it's not something that's achievable for massive long periods, but we're able to get to this point and function in a way where we're at our highest self, and it's but for me personally, I mean, fear is something I deal with every day, and it's just something that I deal with, and so it's how I challenge myself. It's what keeps me motivated and healthy and working hard and with a confident mindset and doing the right work behind the scenes. It gets you ready for match day. And so I don't recommend climbing the wall either. I would have wanted to do it myself, but I'm climbing my own walls, and it's about, this series is to show you how it works and then figure out what those walls are to you personally and go after just kind of taking small steps, because with growth comes happiness, and this is all about well-being and how we can better ourselves.
And for parents and coaches, how do we encourage healthy risk-taking in kids and teens without pushing them way too far?
It's important to, I think, help everybody remember, whether it's kids or adults, that taking on risks is often really fun. When we discover that we can do something that we didn't know how to do, it can give us an incredible sense of joy that we like are more capable than that we knew that we could be. And so by shutting ourselves off from taking risks, we're also cutting ourselves off from a lot of thrills and excitement and joy. The nice thing is that kids' brains naturally push them to take risks if adults just get out of their way. Parents can sometimes hover a little too much and be a little bit too overprotective, but kids need to take risks in order to gain the skills that will allow them to develop and grow and learn. And really what adults need to do is sort of tap into that childlike state of being a little bit more by being deliberate about taking on new things.
And just to add, as a father of 3 boys who are following my footsteps, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with risk taking. And I do see other parents like kind of putting their kids in unsafe situations. And they're essentially trying to mimic my kids who are doing backflips and doing all this stuff, but they're not seeing the behind the scenes work that goes into that and the small steps we take to get them ready for it. So there's a responsibility of, unsafe risk taking, and what Dr. Abigail talks about and what we do. And this is positive risk taking and the small steps. And Chris trains for these things. So with the right preparation, you can scale the highest mountains. No one climbs Everest by just walking there and climbing it. It's all about preparation. You got to get ready for every step of the way. So, there's a lot of learning, a lot of growth here, but an incredible series. I binge watched the first one. I'm excited to be a part of series 2. And Chris is a great example of what it takes physically, mentally. There's a lot of education in this. It's a much watch for sure.
I want to thank you two for joining me today. Limitless, Live Better Now is now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu. Check out the Risk episode with Abigail Marsh and Robbie Maddison for simple, science-backed ways to build courage, focus, and resilience starting today. I want to thank you two for joining me.
Thank you so much. Fantastic day.
When you think of Las Vegas, you might picture bright lights and big productions, but this one comes with a message of love, unity, and rhythm. Bob Marley, Hope Road is a powerful live experience at Mandalay Bay that celebrates the life, music, and spirits of legendary Bob Marley. So joining us this morning is his daughter, Cedella Marley, an artist, author, and CEO of Bob Marley Group of Companies, to talk about how her father's legacy lives on through his show. Welcome, Cedella. How are you, my friend?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm actually really excited about the show. I'm a big fan of your dad. What first inspired the creation of Bob Marley Hope Road?
Well, the show was inspired by Daddy's life, music, and the message of one love. We wanted to create an immersive experience that connects the audience to his legacy in a way that is entertaining, but meaningful. So, yeah, that was the inspiration.
And seeing come to life in Las Vegas, what does that mean for you and the Marley family?
It means everything to us. Seeing Daddy's message of love and unity come alive in a city like Las Vegas, Sin City. It's something that I feel he would have been proud that we have done this. When you can have people come together to feel joy and connection to each other, it's a special thing. And Hope Road is that experience that lifts your spirit, and it reminds you what we all share. And we all share, one love and unity. There's a lot of division in the world today. And I think that his message is relevant, even more so today than yesterday. And you get a little bit of that when you come to One Love, to Hope Road, not One Love.
And there have been many tributes to Bob over the years. How do you feel Hope Road stands apart from some of the other shows that have been happening?
I mean, it's a first of its kind production. It combines live performance, storytelling, multi-sensory elements to immerse audience into Daddy's world. It's not just a concert, it's an interactive journey with his music and his message and the cultural impact he had on the world. It's something that, my kids have a new saying, Mom, that is it. Hope Road is it.
And his music continues to connect with new generations around the world, like you said, your kids. Why do you think his message still resonates so strongly today?
Because his music carries the universal theme of love, unity, and hope. People from all backgrounds connect with the authenticity, and the positivity in his songs. And I think that's why it's timeless. Yeah.
And for someone who's never seen reggae performed live or maybe isn't really familiar with his music, why do you think Hope Road is a perfect introduction?
I mean, even if somebody has never heard reggae, the good thing is that the show is immersive. It's high energy. It's emotionally powerful too, you know. Some of the stuff that you're gonna see there, it can make you cry, you know, even if you don't know the music. It's a celebration of life, of love and culture that I feel like that can connect us, you know. And we should just enjoy it.
So what do you hope people take away from the experience after seeing the show?
Yeah, I hope they leave inspired, uplifted, and connected to the spirit of one love. Beyond entertainment, we want audience to feel the emotional and spiritual impact of Daddy's music and his message.
So how have audiences been reacting so far?
Good. I mean, everybody come out to their hype. You know, it's a real dance hall. You know, you learn all kind of different Jamaican dances. It's just something like I can't even explain it. It's like you have to go there to see it and feel it. You know, this is the first immersive experience I've ever been to that you come out feeling something. And I'm not just saying that because it's my dad. I'm saying that because it's true. You know, Daddy always said his music was for the people, and this show carries that same heart. You can feel that energy in every single room. And I just want to big up, you know, the entire crew, you know, who has to do this night after night after night. But it's enjoyable.
And what about the next generation of the Marley family? How are they doing, helping build that legacy and keeping it going forward in this production?
They're working. They're my two DJs, Shasa Payne and Zuri. They bring the energy to the room. You know, after you go in and you pass like all the pictures and stuff, once you enter the dance hall, you're gonna see those two girls lighting it up. And I mean, in a good way. You know, so it's amazing. It's amazing. And they had to audition for the job too. They didn't just get it because, you know, they had to work for it. So I'm happy that they got the job and they're doing amazing. And you have to come see them.
Cedella, I want to thank you for joining me today. You can experience Bob Marley's Hope Road live at Mandalay Bay Resorts and Casino in Las Vegas. For showtimes, tickets, or more, visit hoperoad.com. That's hoperoad.com. Cedella, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah.
You ever feel the phrase, fake it until you make it, and then take it a little too far? Hollywood hustler Glitz, Glam, Scam tracks about how a aspiring actor, Zach Horowitz, pulled off one of Hollywood's wildest frauds. And joining me today are executive producer, director Rebecca Chaiklin and Zach's ex-wife, Mallory Hagedorn. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
We're great. Thanks for having us.
All right, Rebecca, you got to give us a quick snapshot. What's the true story about Zach Horowitz and what kind of made this scam so audacious?
Zach was a super charismatic, handsome young man from the Midwest who moved to Hollywood with big dreams of becoming an actor and didn't necessarily have the talent to achieve that just through his acting skills. And so he started a entrepreneurial venture, which he pretended became super successful. He raised hundreds of millions of dollars. It was all a fake business. It was a Ponzi scheme. But he was able to take the money that he was raising to start buying himself roles in films. And he recruited his most inner circle of friends, a lot of whom were successful in the finance and banking world. And they had very good resumes and were able to go out and raise him hundreds of millions of dollars for this alleged business. And ironically, his one great performance was that he was a super successful entrepreneur. It was in real life, not on screen.
Okay, Mallory, you were there when this image and the lies were kind of beginning to be built. What were the early red flags that you kind of wish you trusted?
Yeah, I think that some things I wish I would have leaned into more is whenever I would ask questions, which I asked a lot of questions. And a lot of times there were answers, receipts, paperwork, but there were, sometimes if there were ever questions and I was meant to feel like stupid, Zach was very good at making you feel stupid by asking certain questions. I wish I would have had more of a backbone back then. But I really trusted this man. I was with him for almost 12 years. I started that relationship when I was 19. I grew into a life with him. It wasn't just overnight. It was, we are two college sweethearts going into a small apartment to a little bigger apartment, small home, like those kind of things, gradually were happening as we were growing in both of our careers.
And the numbers are staggering. How did Zach convince smart investors to try to buy in, and what toll did this take on the victims once it was unraveling?
Well, the toll on the victims has been devastating. There were hundreds of families who lost their entire life savings. And he was able to raise, initially, he was able to raise a lot of this money because he had this very tight knit group of friends, a lot of whom had gone to business school at Indiana University, then went on into the finance world. They had a lot of connections. They were aspirational. They were successful. And once he was able to recruit these people who all loved him and felt that he was super charismatic, they were a great calling card. They had the resumes, they had the connections, and they were able to raise him a lot of money. Zach was also incredibly clever. He always paid people back, and he paid people back on time. The money actually went into their accounts. He provided very, very sophisticated paperwork. He worked with the biggest banks in the country. He had one of the most prominent law firms representing him. So he had all the exterior infrastructure that made him look really legit.
And without spoiling too much or anything, what is a big takeaway that someone could take from this or walk away from this? Maybe from an outsider seeing the story from afar, or up close, Mallory, or from your perspective. What is something that someone at home to maybe protect themselves in the future?
Yeah, I think that a big takeaway from this is, one of the reasons I wanted to do this is to make a painful experience with something purposeful. There are so many people that are in relationships where they're blinded by what's actually happening because they're in a very unhealthy cycle of manipulation and lies. And I want those people to feel seen and know that they're not crazy. And it happens to so many people. And I just want them to feel that can be a community around it and that they're not alone.
Hey, I want to thank you too for joining me this morning. Hollywood Hustler, Glitz, Glam, Scam is available now on Prime Video. Check out the title on Prime Video and watch the series, or check out the trailer. Hey, I want to thank you too for joining me this morning.
Thank
you.
Now, full disclosure. My girlfriend's a Cowboys fan, so I probably shouldn't be out here talking about love stories that include the Bills, but here we are. Ever wonder what happens when holiday magic and football fandom collide? There's a brand new Hallmark movie that leans all the way into Bills Mafia traditions, family, neighbors, and a love story that's been brewing since childhood. Holland, Roden, and Matthew Daddario star in Holiday Touchdown, a Bills love story. It's a sweet story set right in the shadow of Highmark Stadium. Holland, Matthew, welcome to the show. How are you two?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm trying my best not to get in trouble with my girlfriend for talking about this, but I hear that it blends Christmas traditions with the world of Buffalo Bills. What excited you both about telling a love story in such a unique setting?
Well, full disclosure, I'm from Dallas, Texas, so my family are big Cowboys fans. And I have to say, the heart and the community of Buffalo and Bills fandom will suck you right in, because if you have a passion for any team, you can relate to this movie. So rest assured your girlfriend can be at ease.
Yeah, you don't need to be a Bills fan. You don't even need to be a football fan to enjoy this movie. I mean, it's really about family. It's about love. It's about the holidays. And it's a sweet movie. It's funny. And I think anybody can enjoy it, even if they're not, all that obsessed with football. But if you're a fan of anything, you kind of get what it's like to be a fan of a team. So I think people who enjoy anything will enjoy this.
All right, your characters, Morgan and Gabe, they've been lifelong friends. How did you approach that, friends who might be a little bit more dynamic?
I try to approach it as naturally as possible, where it's how you act with your friends. And then there's this like twinkle. There's not like a really hard turn. It's gradual when you think, is there something like I should be seeing here that's I'm not? And so, certain family members see it, as well as potentially everybody on the Bills sees it. And that's sort of the running joke throughout the movie.
I mean, my character is a slightly different thing because at the start of the movie, I'm not going to get into what happens at the end. You got to watch. But in the start of the movie, he knows he loves his old friend. So then the question is, okay, how is he going to be able to say that to her? How is he going to be able to reveal that? And he struggles with that throughout the film. So for him, it was about that kind of, not unrequited love. I don't know what you call it. What do you call it when you love someone that you're supposed to just be friends with, but you don't know how to tell them?
Unrequited love.
Unrequited love. Sure. Why not? So that's it's a different approach, but they're family friends. They enjoy each other's company and they get along well. So it's kind of easy, but that little extra part, well, that's tough.
All right, the Bills Mafia shows up in a really big way in this film. What was it like filming on location in Highmark Stadium and working alongside actual players and coaches?
We're here right now, and I was just telling Matt earlier before we got on interviews today, I was like, this is our last day of a NFL team just having this casual open door to anything we want to do in this stadium. And that is not lost on us, that they've been incredibly kind and just really have treated us like family. But we're aware that's not normal. It's been amazing.
Yeah. And we got to, we had a number of players in the film who all did an excellent job. And I mean that honestly. They all got a laugh in the movie. And you caught a pass from Jim Kelly on the football field, which is pretty, I'm a little jealous because he didn't throw it to me. So, but that's, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
There's also a really touching mystery at the heart of the story, including a decades-old Christmas gift. What can you share about that emotional thread and how it ties everything together?
Joey Pantoliano, we were so lucky that he lent his vulnerability and rawness to this character, because there is a secret Santa that's 50 years old that we haven't solved, and he's getting gifts every single year. So there's a bit of a scavenger hunt amongst the romance, or will they or won't they, and the football mania, the Bills Mafia.
Yeah. And I think that it's a story. I was particularly touched by the story that your uncle, Joey plays your uncle, it's kind of a touching story that I think a lot of people can relate to. And maybe if they remember their grandparents, I don't know what I can give away, but it's he gave up a certain aspect of his life in order to take care of his family, and it's quite touching. And Joey really does an excellent job of capturing that. So it was really nice to work with him, and it was really nice to work on a film that has that kind of a meaningful storyline in it.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me this morning. You can catch Holiday Touchdown, a Bills love story, right now on Hallmark Channel, and it's streaming right now on Hallmark Plus. Thank you two for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it for Rise Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to be on the show, go to our website, riseunwindtv.com, fill out the form, send it on in, and maybe you could be on a future episode. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. And if you want to check out our YouTube channel, that's at Rise Unwind. And until next week, that was Rise Unwind.